Ooh, that's a face. Yes, we love that. Ugh. Evening, Brad Young. Welcome to the party. Hope we're having a good time so far. I know it's only just begun, but I do believe that we will have an enlightening time. Can I help you? Do you want something? Those are ice cubes. You can't have those. I have a cat. She's trying to, nope. Stop licking. I am trying to pour myself a tall glass of rum and diet, not diet, but Coke Zero. Lick it now. See how you like it. This is all the rum that I have left in the household. We're gonna have to get more. It's okay. Actually, no, that's a lie. Bacardi counts as rum, and I like Bacardi. So tonight we are having Coke Cherry Zero and Captain Morgan rum. That's because I've been a good girl. And I deserve this. Tonight I deserve this. Valentine wants some of my concoction. Or she's curious. Here, try some. I particularly love the fact that she's just kind of always there, always present, always in my face, and ready to get my attention whenever she wants, right, baby? I think we've come to the conclusion that she's permanently blind in the one eye, which is fine. I more than half expected that. But I think we're just going to have to live with it now. I don't think there's much we can do about it. It has cleared up, but yeah, I don't think it works. I don't think her other eye works, which is fine. But the reason that I know that is because I was looking at her yesterday. I was appreciating her lovely face, which is all sorts of asymmetrical, not just the eye, but you know, she's a tortie. It's what she is. I was appreciating her face, and I'm looking at her, and I'm like, the one that's not cloudy, that pupil is dilated. Because you know how cats do the weird openy shutty their eye? Kind of like how humans have like the widening of the pupil, they have the widening of the pupil of their eye too. I don't know if I'm explaining this. People get it. They know what I'm talking about. But I was looking at it and I'm like, you know, one pupil is oddly dilated and the other is not. And I don't think I recall a time when it ever has been anything other than the size that it is now, which is pretty wide for a cat. And at this point, she wasn't like receiving affection. Iris is the colorful part of the eye. So if you look at the eye, certain diagrams, they will show that the iris is the colorful part around the pupil. The pupil is the thing that opens and shuts and lets light in, or it receives light from various points outside of your eyeball. The pupil is what I'm talking about. But I don't know. How do you explain? What is this shape? It's like, it's not a diamond because it's curvy, but it's like a, and it's not a teardrop because it's not rounded at the bottom. But like, what shape is a cat's eye? There's got to be a name for it. I didn't realize that it was this important for me to like actually put a name on a thing like this, but I guess it is. Yeah, I got nothing. Anyway, yeah, I was appreciating her eye, her face, and I noticed her eye pupil not dilating, and it wasn't because, or it was not dilating in an instance where it should have. Oval is 2 rounded points. I'm talking about a cat's eye, which is pointy at each end rather than rounded. That's really gonna bug me. What shape is a cat's pupil? We're Googling it. I'm Googling it. They're calling it slit. Slit pupils can open and close faster than round ones, and wider too. Your cat's eyeballs aren't much smaller than yours, but their pupils can open 3 times larger than yours. This lets them take advantage of the smallest amount of light, including starlight and snow glow, for nighttime hunting. Jaguars and leopards hunt the dimness of the tropical forest, but also come out occasionally on the open savanna to hunt at dawn and dusk. Because they spend most of their time in semi-darkness, slit pupils work best for them. Interesting. Okay, there we go. Now we know the name of the eyeball size. Huh. Well, since we're here, let's learn some more new things. So it looks like, interestingly enough, lions and tigers and cougars have round pupils as opposed to not. They give good vision in the daytime, and they can close the pinpoints to protect the sensitive inner structures of the eye from too much sunlight. They can also expand in low light situations such as dusk and dawn to allow some night hunting. So that's interesting. Is that the cats that the big cats, the great big cats that we associate cats as relating to, have such a vast difference in terms of the way that their eyes correlate, whereas I don't know. I think sometimes people forget that jaguars and leopards exist. At least I do. I don't know about everyone else, but I do. And they are the ones with the closest pupils shaped. I don't know. It's just interesting to me. It means that at some point along the line of their descendants, we got a division in the cat family. Well, of course we had a division, but we had a division further up the line in the family tree of cats. The great cats. That resulted in slit pupils versus not slit pupils. I don't know. I find that fascinating. Evolution in itself is pretty fascinating. Here's another fascinating thing. Apparently, some animals can have horizontal pupils. I thought that was kind of strange. You won't find horizontal pupils on any cats, but lots of grazing animals, goats and sheep, cattle, horses, kangaroos, hippopotami must have them so they can see big cats or other predators sneaking up on them. They have 3-dimensional vision for 330 degrees almost all the way around their heads. That means that when you're riding a horse, he can see you sitting on his back. I did know that about most herbivores, is that they are able to see like everything on this side, including stuff from behind them. But I didn't know that horizontal pupils were the kind of giveaway for that. I thought it had something to do with the fact that their eyes were on the side of their head rather than in front of their face, like with cats and other predatory animals. But the more you know. And then another pupil shape that you can have is vertical. Cats that hunt primarily at night or in low light conditions have vertical slit pupils because they are predators and not prey. They don't need to see what's sneaking up on them. They're doing the sneaking. Vertical slits work well with domestic cats and many small wild cats. With vertical slit pupils and horizontally opening eyelids, cats have exquisite and precise control of the amount of light that enters their eyes. They can even express feelings with the pupils of their eyes. If Fluffy's pupils are slits in daylight, she's calm and relaxed. On the other hand, if her pupils are dilated round in the bright light, something's wrong. She's probably ready to run for her life or kill something. Oh, yes. Interestingly enough, so I knew that too, about cats, in doing a fair bit of research to prepare for the coming and the staying of Valentine when we were integrating both of the cats together. I did quite an amount of research into both of the cats and the behaviors and how to tell if they're aggressive or not aggressive, because I wanted to be able to get out ahead of any sort of shenanigans going on between the two of them so I could stop it, because I was very concerned about the both of them. I knew that Meowschwitz was the more aggressive of the cats, or I had an inclination that she was, because she is the more aggressive type, but Valentine was a bit of a wild card at the same time because she's a stray. She is from the streets. Not like the streets of Chicago, but she was from the streets of rural Wisconsin. So, in reading up about cat behaviorisms, you realize that a lot of their body language and, of course, in their eyeballs, you can kind of tell when they're agitated. So obviously, the blown pupils in the middle of the daylight, that's a given. That's a given. And I kind of knew that based off of Cole and how I know that he's reacted to certain situations. For instance, when he had his second accident. So there was the original accident when we brought him home the first time, and he'd been half mauled to death by something. We think it was a trash panda. Oh gosh. What do we call those? Babe.
Yeah.
What is a trash panda?
Trash panda's raccoon.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I could not figure out the name. We think he'd been mauled partially by a raccoon at some point. And, you know, he was I wasn't there when they found him initially, but afterwards he was this like loving little sweet boy. But the second time that he was attacked, he came home limping on his foot. His back leg had been essentially just so he's trying to run away, we assume. And in the process of that, something had grabbed a hold of his back leg. I think it was his right leg. And as he was getting away, it had kind of the teeth marks, or the teeth, as they were situated in his leg, dislocated his tibia, broke his fibia. And he, in that state, made it home to us so that we could take care of him. So when we first saw him, he was wide-eyed, like not just wide-eyed, but his pupils were blown to high hell, and he was not in a good way. Like, not just probably the pain, but he was like terrified. Anyway, we ended up having to take him to our normal vet, who told us to take him to the emergency big boy vet who knew how to handle animal surgeries. And that was the first time we actually almost lost him after his initial attack, was then because the vet bill would have been, or it was, sorry, not would have, it was, because we ended up having to pay it. The vet bill was astronomical, but we saved his life, and he's still got full use of that leg for another almost maybe, what, seven years, roughly? Because this was in high school. I was maybe a junior, so 7-ish. No, wait, how old am I? Six maybe years. He stayed with us for another 6 years. He was a good boy. Excuse me while I fix the hole in my chin that allows for things to just kind of dribble. So I don't know where Polly is. I think he might have forgotten about our little weekly shenanigans here. Unless... No, he has not messaged me. You know what Discord doesn't do is it doesn't tell you when a person was last online. It just tells you that they are offline. And Polly spends an awful lot of time offline. So, it is what it is. We will endure me jabbering on for the next however many minutes until the end of time. Before I get into that, though, thank you the next 6 minutes for the donation. Over on the Streamlabs, I don't have much clever to say tonight. My family's being pummeled by a Category 4 hurricane right now. I would ask the chat to pray for them. At the time I'm writing this, I haven't heard back from them. Thank you, Weebo, and awesome chat. Y'all rock. So, everyone, send virtual hugs over to Sixie and support over to Sixie, because his family's having a rough time of it with a Category 4 hurricane. That means, like, Dorothy's house does not exist anymore, right? Or Dorothy's not in Kansas anymore, right? That's what that means. I don't know. I've never lived through a Category 4 hurricane in my life. So I don't know exactly how severe that is, but I think 5 is the highest you can go. So it seems pretty serious. So, yes, 60. I hope that your family makes it out okay. I almost got blown away today on the way home from the gym, actually. I was walking past the car park that I usually go past while to and from the gym, because I walk to the gym, because I can walk to the gym. And as I'm walking, I notice, oh, the clouds in the sky, they look a lot. There's a great many here. And then as I'm thinking this in my head, whoosh, a gust just straight past my face, spritz me with sand in my eyeballs, even though I'm wearing sunglasses, and I almost got knocked on my butt. It was interesting. Still managed to make it home before the rain and the thunder and the lightning hit, but it was looking a little bit grim there for a second, because it was a brewing, the storm. There were many clouds, and they were dark. Just the kind of clouds that you want to for a nice, perfect thunderstorm. Yes, me gusta. I love, it was good. Leo Prime says Dorothy's storm was a tornado. Yes, I am aware of that. I know that, but similar processes in terms of weather patterns. I mean, not exactly the same, because a tornado is not a hurricane, and a hurricane is not a tornado. But theoretically, a hurricane could produce the same results if we were to take Dorothy out of Kansas and put her in, say, Louisiana. Right? That doesn't seem like a stretch to me. Right? I don't think so. I don't think that that's not a possibility. I don't think that that's not a possibility. Anywho, Brad Young says, if Discord only told people when they were accidentally streaming. Okay, so I heard something about that, but I did not get the full story. So hopefully when Polly gets here, he can tell me what happened, because I am curious, would like to know what transpired. Because I saw something about that earlier in the week, that he was accidentally streaming. But I didn't catch it, and there was no explanation that was offered to me. And I feel a bit salty that I didn't get to share in on that embarrassingness. So I'm assuming it was something slightly embarrassing. I don't know. Daniel Fullman says, it's almost as if you're living in the Windy City. Wiki face. Well, okay. Yes and no. It is rather windy at times, especially when you are on, like, deep in the city on Navy Pier. If you've ever been to Navy Pier, it's pretty cool. It is, I will say, pretty cool. So long as you expect a pier and not like a theme park. Because I don't know, I feel like when people go to Navy Pier, they expect some sort of Six Flags America bullshit. But it's not Six Flags. It's a pier. You can have lunch on it, and there's margaritas and a number of boats and a Ferris wheel. But it is not Great America. I don't know. That's what the impression I get from people. That's it. That's all. Shh. Be quiet. Hush your face, little child. No one wants to hear from you. It's okay. I can say that it's my phone. But yeah, okay. So Navy Pier is pretty windy. As you get closer in the city, though, it gets less windy and more annoying and gross and full of idiot drivers who don't know what they're doing. It's not all it's chalked up to be. But the reason why they call the Windy City is not because of the fact that it is windy in any natural sense. It's more so the fact that the politicians in the Windy City blow a lot of hot air, causing wind. Aha. Brilliant. I know. Is it clever? I don't know. I don't think so. Honestly. No, it's not. I'm not impressed. Sadistic atheist, your cat didn't come home to ask for help. They're always trying to return home to die where they usually sleep because that's the place they feel the safest. Fair? Okay. I don't know. I feel maybe that might be true. That he was coming home expecting to die there. But at the same time, this cat had lived through some shenanigans with my family. Like, the very first time that this cat met my family, he was in a bad way. Broken tail, mauled face, missing a tooth, and he still tried to get into the restaurant where they were having Thanksgiving dinner, trying to get food, and effectively getting help. So I'm less inclined to believe that that was what was going on, and more inclined to believe that this cat knew that he could depend on my family for assistance because it had happened in the past. Makes sense. I mean, the going there to die, that seems a little bit morbid. That seems not hopeful. And this cat was a survivor. Sorry, I'm gonna cry. Wow, this is bringing back some memories, people. I'm having a heart-to-heart about my long-lost child. Because that was what he was to me. He was my baby. I love him. Daniel Foreman asks if I've seen the movie The Blues Brothers. I've not seen the movie, but I have seen the Blues Brothers on the stage live once very, very long ago. At least I think I did. This was a memory from my youth that I'm not sure actually happened, but I think was it possible it did happen. Or maybe I saw them on TV. But I'm almost positive that it was live on stage that I was watching them. Cause I don't know, it just seems so real. Like they were doing the marshmallow act where one blues brother throws marshmallows into another blues brother's mouth and he catches them. A lot of them. And then he takes the marshmallows in his mouth and I guess he does something to kind of mince them up. And then he just kind of them onto a plate in the shape of a bunny. I think that's what the shape was. I think. Like I said, this was a very, very early childhood memory. I'm not even sure it's real. I'm not even sure that it happened in person and live. But this is just what I remember. That's just what I remember. Old Man Enfield. What did I miss? Well, not a whole lot. It's just me rambling about literally anything and everything because I did not bring anything else to talk about. So we're just rambling until Polly can show his face, his utter face, and we can commence with the back and forth banters. I mean, I could probably come up with something bullshit a lot. We were talking about cat pupils. That was a thing that we were doing. But other than that, not a whole lot. Oh, hey, titties! Why is that the first thing that shows up on my Twitter dashboard? Ooh. Hurricane Ida. I don't know. What happened today? Does anyone know what happened today? I heard there was an attack in Istanbul, but I don't think we want to talk about that. Istanbul, I think. Maybe. Not sure. Oh, that's another titty. Interesting. Daniel Foreman. No! That is the Blue Man Group. Okay, so that wasn't a fever dream that I had as a child. That was legit. That was a thing that happened. I'm glad that I wasn't hallucinating that, because that would have been weird. Of all the things to hallucinate, a man with marshmallows in his mouth making a bunny. Dana Foreman says the Blues Brother is movie set in Chicago. So, okay, is it an act or is it a movie? Because I always thought that they were an act, that they just did performances with a random assortment of things, and their shtick was they were blue and bald, and they wore black. But are you saying that they're like it's a movie? Because I thought they were an act. Okay, it looks like they're both. It says Fucktard5. I can't believe YouTube lets you have that name. I love it, but I can't believe it. So. Hey, Binchette. Sadistic Atheist says, if we're talking movies, you should watch Truly, Madly, Deeply, starring Alan Rickman. Buy tissues beforehand. Oh, I have 7 boxes of tissues waiting on standby for any given moment. Because I cry easily. Right, babe?
Yeah.
I cry easily?
What?
I cry easily?
Oh, yeah, 100%. It's ridiculous.
I do. I didn't realize that I was the crying type until college, I think. Like, I thought I only really cried in select instances where I was frustrated and couldn't get out of the frustrating situation. But now it turns out that those stupid little help the animals commercials with sad puppy faces and cats with like the really lonely expressions, like, oh, please come help me. And then that stupid Arms of an Angel song playing in the background, that's gonna make me freaking burst out into horrible tears of sadness and anguish. And then there's that stupid TikTok trend and a compilation that I saw twice now. I've seen it where it's a challenge of like lay your head on your toddler's lap while they're watching TV and film their reaction. And every single time I see that compilation, without fail, it makes me a blithering mess. It's so bad. I am so pathetic. Ah! I'm a sucker for that kind of shit. I don't know. It gets to me. It's like, it's so meaningful. It's so innocent. It's so sweet in a world where people attach themselves to the outside of airplanes in order to escape a hostile foreign nation. It brings up my spirits because it's so fucking wholesome. Oh my God. I need more of that in my life so I don't feel so jarred by the experience of seeing something as simple and lovely as a small child and their parent being cuddly on a couch. Ah! What has the world come to, people? Doesn't it irk you? Just the injustice of it all. The idea that isn't everyone's experience with their parents, with their children. There are people in this world disconnected from family in a way that depresses me greatly. Because I, frankly, have had it both ways. The sweet moments and the not so sweet moments. I don't know. It just freaks me out. Any apartment repair stories, says Dana Pullman. Well, recently, Ooh, this one pissed our boyfriendo off when it happened. But I think, did I tell you guys, did I regale for you the story of the kitchen sink? So, initially we'd had our bathroom sink leaking and we had to get the whole thing replaced. Not the bowl, but the actual apparatus that dispenses with water, hot or cold. We had to get that replaced because it was leaking onto our toilet paper. So we lost a whole like month's supply of toilet paper, and it seeped into the wood of the cabinetry. So we had to air it out. It was disgusting and gross. Well, 2 weeks ago, I started smelling this awful smell in the kitchen. I'm like, what the fuck is that? I thought not accidentally, but I thought that it had been a boyfriendo had caused the smell, because I thought, oh, I asked him to clean the stove, and after he cleaned the stove, it smelled janky. So I asked him, what did you clean the stove with? And he goes, I cleaned it with the fantastic stuff. The fantastic stuff. Or, well, he said initially the grease removal stuff. And I'm like, oh, the grease removal stuff? You know, I thought he meant the barbecue grill grease remover stuff, which does smell rank as fuck, but works really well. No, he meant the fantastic, which is an all-purpose cleaner, so it's fine that he used it. But I thought that he used something else that smelled jank, and that was what we were getting the waftings of. No, so I smelled something wonky. It was coming from the kitchen area. A boyfriendo goes to check it out, and his nose brings him to under the sink, where we found that everything was soaking wet. So every time the sink turned on, the pressure from the sink would cause it to spray all over everything underneath the sink. So it wasn't a leak. It wasn't like a drip leak so much as it was a spray leak, which is worse because it gets everywhere in everything. And we didn't notice it. We did not notice it. So everything under there was soaked. Sponges, all the cleaning supplies, bucket was filled. Luckily, we don't keep toilet paper down there. Otherwise, that would have been ruined. Yeah, so it was a mess. So I call the landlord, and I go, so we need a new kitchen sink, I think. And he goes, I'll be able to get the plumber out there maybe Tuesday. I go, Tuesday? You couldn't get him out? This was a Saturday that we found it. And so Tuesday was a little off. So that would mean that we can't use our kitchen sink until then. So Saturday night, Sunday, Monday, and then hopefully Tuesday. It's like 3.5 days of not being able to use our sink, which is inconvenient because I cook and I need to be able to wash the dishes in the sink, or El Boyfriendo needs to be able to wash the dishes in the sink. If you can't do that, a little bit inconvenient. We don't nearly have enough dishes to be able to just not clean them and be okay. So I had to quickly run to the store and get those microwave meals that come in little containers. Bring it back home. And that was what we ate for a couple of days that we couldn't use our sink and I couldn't cook. Turns out that the problem with the sink was the filter that we attached to the head of the sink. It was causing too much downward pressure on the sink to be supportive, I guess. It's an old thing. The kitchen is old, everything is old. But I thought the landlord had said that the kitchen sink itself, all of the apparatuses here, they were all brand new. So why in the world would they not be working? Well, it was because of the filter that we'd attached. It was one of those flip a switch and it transfers all of the water to one like tiny little stream so you could get the cleaner water, but then it still allowed you to drop the regular water filters. So our landlord threw our filter away. He's like, no more filter. But in addition to that, when the plumber replaced our sink, he took our spray nozzle, which worked perfectly. But he took the spray nozzle. And he took the spray nozzle because our landlord tells us He's trying to standardize everything, and no other apartment in the unit in the complex has a spray nozzle attached to their sink. And let me tell you, it has caused problems because it's so much easier to do dishes with the higher pressure spray hose than it is to do the dishes with the lesser pressure sink. So much easier. So I'm salty. A boyfriendo is especially salty because I do the cooking, but he does the cleaning of the dishes. So yeah. Does anyone know anyone selling houses in the Chicagoland area? We're looking. Cheap, please. Besides that, we had pipes replaced. Another plumbing story. We had pipes replaced in the ceiling maybe 2 months ago. 3 months ago, because it's the end of August. So it would have been in May. And they had to cut gigantic holes in the ceiling in 2 places in our bedroom. And then when they left, they just drilled cardboard into the ceiling where they made the holes, because they're like, oh, it's not our job. We made the holes, but we're not going to fix the holes. We don't know what we're doing. To be fair, it takes some time to spackle and wait for that stuff to dry, and to have them constantly coming back to fix the thing that they made the hole of is just kind of ridiculous. But a boyfriendo has been fixing that, and I think he needs to sand it down at this point. So tomorrow that gets done, because it's a 24-hour cure period. And then he needs to respackle it to smooth everything out, sand it down again, and then paint over it. Which is why probably the plumbers weren't the ones that were supposed to be doing that. Plus, they're plumbers. I don't think they know how to spackle drywall or fix a gigantic hole in the drywall. Other than that, I don't think there's been a lot that's been an issue. No, I was kidding, Leo. He says look on Zillow. I mean, I do periodically browse Zillow and realtors.com for properties in the area, but I don't anticipate us moving out of the apartment soon, given the housing market is absolute ass right now. It is more of a, how you say, seller's market than a buyer's market. But yeah, most of what I look for is just casually browsing. It's like window shopping. I'm looking for what I want to look for in a house, or to give myself an idea of what options there are available to me at my price point, at our price point. But yeah, no, that's not going to happen for a bit. Got to save up for the down payment, which shouldn't take that long. 3 years minimum. Not a big deal. We will survive here in our lovely abode until then. We'll survive in our apartment until we buy a house. You're not going to survive?
I'm going to die.
He's going to die. Drama princess over there is going to perish. Poor thing. Maybe if we have another winter like we did last year. He was not a happy camper about that. I wasn't either, frankly, because we were told. Here's the thing. We were told when we moved into the building and took the deal on the apartment rent that we would not have to shovel or snowplow the certain aspects of the area. That's what we were told. And then we get the heaviest snowfall ever in February. Like snow upon snow upon snow upon snow, to the point where a boyfriendo has to hop on top of the roof of the vestibules and pickaxe away at the snow-covered roofing. Snow and ice-covered roofing. up there because it was starting to leak. Like, it was starting to actually condensate or evaporate. No, it was melting, evaporating, like seeping into the roof and coming out the other side as like droplets on top of the people using the mailroom. Like, it was bad. But the person that's job it was to snowplow in the winter did a bang up job of it. So you're supposed to, ideally, clear snow from edge to edge of the walkway. This person was not doing that. They were just doing one pass, and that was that. The reason why you're not supposed to do only one pass is because when snow melts, where's it going to melt to? The most open space. So the water from the snow melts when it eventually does. And what you have to understand about Midwestern winters is that it doesn't just melt away one day and there's no more after that. It melts and then it freezes again. And then it melts and then it freezes again. So when it melts, it's going to melt right into the area that you have cleared. And then it's going to freeze again. And it's going to create an ice sheet. And an ice sheet is a lawsuit waiting to happen. Unless you put down salt. But the thing about this winter that you have to remember is that it was a particularly bad winter in that regard. We did not have enough salt to supply the Midwest. Like, I went to 3 different hardware stores looking for salt of any kind and settled on a pickaxe because I couldn't find anything. Like, I bought a pickaxe this winter because we could not find salt.
And I broke the pickaxe.
He bent the pickaxe. Do you know what has to happen in order to bend a pickaxe? Anyway, so we were super salty with the person who didn't do what they were supposed to do. And then we ended up having to take care of the thing that they didn't take care of. And we didn't have a snowblower. So we did it by hand. We used manual shovels. Yeah. Race Jacob Hobby says, salt the earth so no ice grows there. I wish. Yeah. No. And that was the, as far as winters go, that's the most difficult one that I've had in a while, mainly because I used to go to school for 4 years, so I didn't have to do jack diddly squat. Not to mention, where I lived in school, there wasn't a whole lot of stuff to do for winter. Like, maybe it would snow a couple inches a year, and then it would melt pretty quickly, and we'd just be walking around in a frozen hellscape of nothing. And that was what we had to look forward to every year. So it wasn't that bad. It wasn't fantastic. I would much prefer a winter wonderland to a frozen hellscape any day of the week. But even when it did snow, I didn't have to do jack shit because we had facilities to take care of that. Oh, I missed that. Having someone to do the thing that you don't do. I think that would be the only reason why I would opt for an HOA, is because they take care of all that shit. Take it off my hands. But on the contrary, it's like a double-edged sword. Because I also have to put up with their incessant nagging about the length of my grass and the number of dogs that I have and the color of my door because it's not regulation. Ah, ew. And, oh, you didn't remove your trash can soon enough. Margaret, what the fuck do you want from me? It's a trash can. It's not gonna hurt anybody. I can assure you it's not selling candy to kids. Yes, Janice, I know I have 4 dogs and the regulation says only 3. Fuck off. Race Jacob's Hobby says, don't you love it when you step on snow on the sidewalk and you slip on the ice underneath it? Ooh, yeah. Love that. My favorite thing. Yeah, no, that would be the only reason why it would be that I would accept HOA terms, is because they would do all of the like external handing stuff. And also maybe in some neighborhoods you get extra amenities. Like I guess some HOAs have clubhouses and golf courses or tennis courts, stuff like that. You know, like places where you can do recreational shit. That I could see entering into that kind of a situation with. But at the end of the day, I don't see it happening because I do like having the... I like the idea of being a dictator over my own property. That has some appeal to me. Like, if I want to dig out my basement to create an underground bunker, no one can stop me because it's my goddamn property and I don't have an HOA to answer to. I mean, it just makes sense, right? It just makes sense. If I wanted to dig out another part of my basement, not the underground bunker part, but dig out another part of my basement to create a secret wine cellar for myself, who gonna stop me? Exactly. Janet can't stop me because she got no anything to do with my property. Janet can go fuck herself. You know, if I wanted to create secret hallways and passages throughout my entire household, Margaret can't say jack shit because Margaret don't own the place. I own the place. We own the place. We will have owned the place. Right, babe?
What?
I'm talking about how Margaret from the bitch HOA association don't gonna be saying shit about our property because it'll be our property, and so she can't tell us not to make a secret underground bunker.
Oh yeah, I'm absolutely going to do that. And besides, it's secret. She ain't gonna fucking know.
Our neighbor Wilma with the stretchy neck will tell her.
Our neighbor can suck a fat cock.
I love you. Oh, I got plans for my future property. Plans. The wine cellar and the secret hallways and the underground bunker. That's just the tip of the iceberg, baby. Yeah. Ooh, then there's the armory. We gotta have an armory, right, babe?
Yep.
An armory for all of our guns. So not just two.
Guns as well.
And non-guns, of course. The super dangerous, like ballistas and such. Those would go in the armory.
And a cannon, because bitches loves cannons.
You want a cannon?
I want a cannon.
Okay, he wants a cannon, so we're getting a cannon.
I mean, I wasn't asking.
You know, actually, I think we could put the cannon on display so long as the balls go away in the armory. Capiche?
I mean, we're getting a cannon. Bitches love cannons.
How do you know? I've never said anything to you about that. Yeah, so we're gonna get an armory. The armory is gonna be outfitted with racks for all of the guns, a bench where we can what's the way that you say that? Craft bullets? Make bullets? I'm just gonna go with make. We're gonna have a bench where you can make bullets, clean the guns, and modify them as well, because it's absolutely what you need. Let's see. The basement's gonna come with a wet bar, duh, right next to the secret wine cellar, by the way, because naturally. We're gonna have to figure out a way to install the home theater as well. Reload. Thank you, Old Man Enfield. I knew that make wasn't the right way to say that. Reload is the way. That is the way. What else? Ah, yes. Can't forget the underground meth lab, right, babe?
Oh, 100%. How else are we gonna make a profit?
Let's see.
How's it gonna pay for itself?
Yes, so that's another idea. I believe Polly does reload, which is why it's a shame that he's missing out on this conversation, because I think we would have like a whole conversation about just the way that we want to lay out our dream house. Scratch the meth lab. Replace it with a sewing room, like an arts and crafts room. Because of course, I gotta put my serge machine and my sewing machine and all of my extra fabrics somewhere, people. Right? They can't just exist in the closet forever. I refuse. And then, of course, an office for El Boyfriendo and myself. Me for everything that I do in association with this computer. Him for everything that he does in association with his computer. And so that he can display all of his video game paraphernalia. Yeah, when we move into our house, all of the stuff behind me is no longer going to be in the background. I'm sorry. No, Daniel Fullman, Meth, you seem more like a moonshiner. Honestly, that'd be... I like to distill my own alcohol, frankly. That would be fun. That would be a great time. Let's see, what else goes in the house? Dream house. Oh, Dream house has a greenhouse attached to it. The greenhouse will grow vegetables that we eat throughout the year, seasonal or non, depending on how green of a thumb that I have. In addition to that, of course, we're going to have a chicken coop because I want to raise chickens, and maybe some goat pens because I've always wanted to raise baby goats. It's going to be a good time. What else? What else? Yes, the in-home library. Books stacked on shelves from floor to ceiling with rails. So I can move the bookshelves. Yes, thank you, Daniel Fullman, the library. Floor to ceiling. Ooh. I got blurry there for a second. I think it's the rum. Anyway, bookshelf. Floor to ceiling with rails attached to the bookshelves so I can move them out of the way and have optimal storage. But in addition to that, the bookshelf's going to have like one of those rolly stairs too, so that I can just climb up because I'm a short woman. And it's difficult. It's very difficult to do the things that involve height. And then the library is also going to come with some nice high-backed leather couches, because old leather couches, like not new ones, but ones that have aged a bit, because I feel like those are the most comfortable chairs to sit in. Of course, there's going to be an ottoman where I can put my feet up, a nice warm, light-toned lamp. It's going to be sat by a window with a fireplace crackling in front of me, and it's a good old time. Oh, I can't forget my world globe alcohol set for when I have guests. You know, so I have a decanter seated in the middle of my globe, and 2 glasses, and then I can open and close it at will. It's the classiest room in the whole house. Not gonna lie, very classy. Daniel Fullman mentions the sex dungeon, and that's a different part of the basement that's forbidden to visitors and outside users. So I will not go into further detail about the sex dungeon because that is my business and our boyfriendo's business alone. Thank you very much. Ooh, that's an idea. Babe. Will there be kitty walkways up on the walls?
Why not?
Yeah, I like that idea. I think it makes sense for the kitties to have their own walkways, because of course they're going to want to do stuff and things at high altitudes. Daniel Fullman asks fireplace. Of course, naturally. I said something about a fireplace in the library. I see a pattern forming with the booze. Well, you got to have booze displays throughout the house. Actually, when I'm not drinking it, bad boy sits on the shelf behind me, right next to the big geode. Like, top shelf geode. And I just put it there because easy access, when I need to. Also, it's a pain in the ass to have to go all the way to where we keep the alcohol in the apartment just to grab alcohol and then come back. Especially during showtime for side quest. Pain in the ass because you guys don't know this, right? Like I have to get all situated and stuff. And before I can finish, before I can put on the corset, I have to wrap this setup, the longest headphones ever, with a distance of I don't even know, 10, 20 feet. I have to wrap this, I have to wrap the headphones around my neck and then put this behind my back and clip it in place before I can actually put on the corset. And then I have to put on the corset over top of the headphones because, well, the whole idea is we are in Magog's world. So you can't, make it known that you have any modern technology. You got to keep it hidden. And so my way of keeping it hidden is to, install it in my corsets and hide it that way up the back of my back. And I'm plugged in to the show. You can't see this part, but it's there and it's out of the way. Now, I could probably achieve the same thing with Bluetooth, but this motherboard does not support Bluetooth without an adapter USB, which I have, but it's a pain in the ass, and I don't trust it not to crap out in the middle of showtime. And at that point, if I'm depending on the Bluetooth, that means I haven't installed this hunky thing, which means I'm going to have to quickly find it, attach it, something, and hopefully hide it from the rest of the cast and audience. But essentially what that means is that if I want to leave the room, I have to constantly unplug myself and then come back, plug it in, and start back up. It's a hassle. Ray Jacobson says, port wine and cigars in every room. It's actually interesting. Neither of us smoke. Neither myself nor our boyfriendo. The hardest thing that we do is alcohol. And that's second only to coffee, at least for me. I drink more coffee than I do alcohol, frankly. Which is why I'm a lightweight. Location thought. If money was no object, would you stay in the US or move to a French chateau? Babe, would you tolerate living in a French chateau?
Nope.
That's a no. I think if money were no object, we'd probably move to a more northern area. Where would we move if we had all the money in the world?
A remote island, somewhere where it's a crispy 69 all the time.
Somewhere where it's 69 all the time. On a remote island. How remote we talking?
I don't want to see people, and I want it to take at least 3 hours to get to the next village.
Okay, but the Wi-Fi would be crappy, right?
I will run a LAN cable all the way.
On a remote island, you run a LAN cable?
Yep.
Okay. So El Boyfriendo's idea is not super practical.
No, we have all the money in the world. I can do whatever the fuck I want.
How will our friends visit us?
I don't give a shit about them.
How will our family visit us?
Second verse, same as the first.
Oh, hi, El Boyfriendo's sister in chat.
Yeah, fuck that girl. She can suck one too. I don't give a shit. I have all the money in the world. Ain't nobody seeing me anymore.
Oh my god.
I'm gonna become a hermit. I'm gonna become Master Roshi.
Well, how will we get our groceries?
Like I said, boat.
Grubhub does not deliver that far away.
Boat. Bears beats Battlestar Galactica boat.
And that's my boyfriend, ladies and gentlemen. He doesn't want to see you. Doesn't want to see shit. Doesn't want to do shit. He will go the extra mile to avoid people. Anyway. Oh my god. Valentine, get your ass out of the camera.
She likes to move it.
Yeah, no, okay. So if money were no object for me, and I had all the say in this decision-making process, it wouldn't be a remote island. It would be a distance from civilization, certainly, because I like my space, and I need a lot of space from the people. Because I like people most of the time, but I don't. Can you stop? Oh my god, I'm so sorry, Chad. I honestly, Valentine, that's inappropriate. You can't just moon the audience. They don't appreciate it. Okay?
That's a lie.
Audience might appreciate it, but I certainly do not appreciate the distraction because it puts me off my groove. You threw off my groove. Come on. Lay down. Lay down. Lay down. Come on. Lay down. Oh, she's clawing my leg. She's clawing my leg. Girlfriend, your butthole is on full display here. You whore. Anyway. Who's a good girl? You're a good girl. You never do anything wrong. No, you don't. You're a princess. Oh. Okay, so if money were no object and I can move anywhere, probably wouldn't stay in the US. I'm not gonna lie. I would buy a castle in Scotland. Because that's technically an island. Not remote, but it's technically an island. And it seems rather simple. Farming would be easy.
Bro, you know how
High
hard it is to take
altitude.
care of a fucking castle?
You know how
maid
hard-
service.
Money's no object, babe. It doesn't matter.
Are we going to...
We'll
Every
hire.
week there's a maid that just comes by.
No.
Ferry.
We will hire an Alfred to live on the premises. Oh,
You got me there.
Valentine thinks she has an OnlyFans. You know what? That's a brilliant idea. Should start an OnlyFans for Valentine. So that
Her
way,
OnlyFans name is Perfect Friend.
Miss Perfect. But yeah, I'd buy a castle in Scotland. We'd also have a live-in Alfred that we would call Alfred.
Even if his name's not that, we are legally changing it to Alfred.
We will pay him enough to want to change it. Yeah. Almost got the tail in the drink. Girlfriend, you are such an attention whore.
Of course she's yours.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if we did get the castle, you'd get your internet too, and it would be a lot easier. Plus, I'm pretty sure Grubhub delivers to remote castles in Scotland. Pretty sure. Not 100%, but I'm pretty sure. And if we went to Scotland, I'd get to talk to people on occasion with funny accents. So it's a win for me.
With funny accents.
With funny accents. Not that I don't have a funny accent, but
Not that I would want to talk to them.
you don't have to talk to them. You don't have to
Good,
leave
I
the
don't fucking
castle.
wanna.
You can just sit in your dark corner in your bat cave and sulk, Batman.
But
How
you're
about
my bat
that?
cave, so can I sit inside you?
Oh my god! But
I
Weebo,
didn't hear a no.
the land of Scots has no freedom. I will buy my freedom because there's a price for everything, and apparently money is no object in this hypothetical. And so, as a result, I will purchase freedom for the whole of Scotland. Like, I will absolutely lobby whoever's in charge of Scotland to give Scotland freedom. Straight up. I will succeed where the Jacobites failed. And I don't care how offensive that is. They're dead. All of the Jacobites are dead. It's fine. I can't get in trouble. No one's going to be salty about this.
I'm salty just because he said no one is going to be.
Okay, that's fine. That's your fault.
Yeah, you know.
You can be salty.
I will be. Fuck you.
Good for you.
Good.
Great. Yeah, no, I could just buy the whole country of Scotland. It's fine. I'm sure the UK will part with it. They don't care. Scotland causes them more trouble than it's worth. I will be Queen of Scotland. Weebo, Queen of Scotland. Daniel Fulman asks, some of the side quest insults are kind of mean. Does anyone take them personally? Sorry. So for the most part, not necessarily. Everyone knows that everyone else is joking. Now, on occasion, that being said, on occasion, a joke will get old, stale. I don't want to say too much because that's not exactly it. But you know how you overdo it? You can overdo it on side quests. And that's when the co-hosts will take that member of the co-hosts and redirect the conversation to a different line of thinking and questioning. But overall, for the most part, it's not so much the subject material itself as it is the frequency of the subject material that you're joking about. Unless you're on, like, not a tangent, but a funny track of thought, and people are just laying them on thick, then it's not going to get old. But if you keep trying to bring back this really, really stupid, it's not exactly as funny as you think it is kind of joke, then yeah, sure, people will start to get kind of annoyed. And this is especially true if you just kind of shoehorn it in there on top of everyone else in the middle of a conversation that has nothing to do with that. There has got to be some sort of transition there, and they can be awkward. And, you know, part of the awkwardness could make it more funny, could be a contributor to the humor in the joke, but there's an art to it. There's an art to improv. And part of that art is knowing when to not and when to, if that makes any sense. And knowing how to play off of others. Some are greater at it than others, and some are not as great at it as others. And then there are some that decide that the limelight was not meant for anyone but themselves. And I'll leave it at that. Daniel Fulman, we missed you on the last Lords of the Night. I know. I think what it was at the 24th that they had it. I think the 24th. What was I doing? Was it the 24th or was it the 25th? I can't remember exactly. But I've been rather busy of late, unfortunately. And it has taken me places to do things that require my attention to the point where I'm not producing content as frequently as I would like to. I mean, I'm doing it, it's just at a much slower rate. Who knew that real life could be so time consuming after college? I mean, I used to think that for a college student, I did not have a lot of free time. And now I'm realizing that I had a lot more free time as a college student, to the point where I kind of miss it. I kind of miss not having as many not social obligations, but obligations. Maybe part of the problem, yes, of course, is the social obligations that I have being closer to the rest of my social circle in proximity. I get invited to a lot more things. So I do have to make appearances in order to maintain those ties, because family is important, friends are important, but also so is yourself. yourself is important, and I need to learn how to better invest time in myself so that I am satisfied as opposed to not. I need to be more selfish with my time, is what I'm getting at. And I'm not. And I'm being split multiple different directions. Unfortunately. It is what it is. Yes, Riggs. That was my tactful way of putting that. I I'm trying not to be aggressive in my responses, but we all are quite understanding of what transpired with the last season of SideQuest. Daniel Fluman asks me, Weebo, what do you think about the computer chip shortage? Will it get worse? What would fix it? I'm not sure I follow. Computer chip shortage. Are you talking about processors being in short supply, or are you talking about RAM sticks being more expensive, or storage space or storage drives being more expensive because of cryptocurrency? I am confuzzled. Please explain. Graphics cards also. I've neglected to include those. It's all expensive. Building your own computer is not as cheap as it once was. I'm glad that I built mine when I built mine, and thank you to the people for getting me the parts. Those people that donated parts to build my computer at the time, whether they were new, old, anything. I thank you very much. My computer is a hodgepodge of Frankenstein shenanigans from all parts of different aspects of my life. I think I got 2 parts from viewers here, 1 part from Balak, and the rest I ordered over the span of a couple months. So, like, I got my parts piecemeal, and with each new arrival, I got much more excited. It was a fun time. Grace Jacobson asks, again, what's more expensive, a pound of meth or a graphics card? I don't know. I've never bought meth. I've never bought meth. Well, yeah, because with a graphics card, you could very easily mine Bitcoin. Very easily. Very, very easily. But yeah, I've never bought meth, so I don't know what's more expensive. Frankly, unfortunately. I'm sorry. Sorry to disappoint. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is about 8:44, about 15 minutes before I would probably usually go to bed. It doesn't look like Polly is going to show up tonight, which is fine. We just had a lovely chat, the you and I's. We're going to have a good time the rest of the time that we have together. But yeah, I'm just going to open it up to question time since it already seems like it's going that way. Let's just talk, you and me. Questions for Weebo. What you got? Let's do it. I'm an open book. Except for, I can't tell you everything about the book I'm writing. That is not an open book. I cannot tell you about that. I can tell you some things about that, but I will not tell you all the things about that. Sadistic Atheist says, depends on whether China takes Taiwan, and that all depends on Biden. We're doomed. Lol. Well, we were doomed the moment he took office. Just because when you allow a senile old man who sniffs children's hair to take control of the free world, I don't know why no one saw that this was going to be a disaster. Honestly, truly, I don't know. I don't know. Lion Patriot says he hopes that Polly's sleeping now. He needs his rest. I agree. I hope that if Polly is not here, that he is tucked safely away in bed, because that otter absolutely needs to relax and chill and just decompress. And if he's not, and he's doing something else, then you have my permission to yell at him. There you go. So Daniel Fullman asks, so which would you prefer, a large house with a small yard or a small house with a large yard? Depends on how many bedrooms it's got. So I will absolutely take a small house with a large yard so long as we have enough bedrooms. And the bedrooms don't even have to be that large. They just have to have doors, you know? Now, where I will not compromise is on the size of my kitchen. I need a large kitchen for reasons. 100%. I will not compromise on that. I need counter space, and then I need more counter space. And I accept nothing less. The Memes of Destruction asked if my book has turtles. It does not at present. I'm working on it. So it's actually more than one book. I don't even think it's 3 books anymore. I think it's going to have to be, let's see, the prequel, the actual 3 main books, the prequel 3 books, the prequel, so like the prequel series, then the actual prequel, like the intro. Kind of like, okay, so you know how Game of Thrones has the first book? I think it's called Game of Thrones, but I'm not 100% sure. But essentially, it's a setup for the rest of the series because it essentially draws you in with this whole storyline about finding out who killed Jon Arryn. Spoiler alert, it was the Lannisters. Well, Lysa Arryn, who was in service of the Lannisters. But anyway, it's a setup about finding out who killed Jon Arryn and why they killed him. What secret were they willing to protect? And we all find out that actually the secret that they were willing to protect, was the fact that all of the Baratheon children born to Robert and Cersei Lannister, Robert Baratheon and Cersei Lannister, were actually illegitimate children, incest babies by Cersei Lannister and her twin brother, which makes it so much worse than if it was just her regular brother, because they literally have the same DNA, the exact same DNA. Like, just, they were womb buddies, womb mates, if you will. Anyway, she fucked her twin and had all 3 of his kids. Anyway, that was a secret that he died trying to protect, and that was the secret that Ned Stark uncovered and died in their efforts to try and hide that truth. So the whole series is set up by this one book, and this is what kickstarts the central conflict. And it's so compelling in that way. Essentially, that would be what the prequel novel to the 3 books in the main series would serve as, purpose-wise. It would set up the world building. In addition, well, I don't know if I wanted to come out first, because while it's setting up the world building, while it's setting up the main conflict, I don't want it to set up all the world building. I haven't decided yet. I haven't decided if I want to write that first with the intention that it comes out after the main series, or if I want to write it first with the intention that it comes out before the main series. Because while it does have interesting stuff, it's mostly just set up. It's mostly just setting up the main conflicts and giving you a backdoor view into the characters that you meet later on and their relationships with each other and their identities and what drives them, their motivations, their character development before and after. What?
You said backdoor.
Anyway, anywho. That's what the prequel book would do. But the prequel series, so not the prequel book, but the prequel series, the series that comes before the prequel book itself, would set up a lot of the elements of the world that we end up developing afterwards. So I've written most of the history up until the main book series midway through the second book. So everything that comes before that. Everything from the prequel books, some in-between stuff that I don't intend on writing a book about, and then the prequel series as well. And then there's some other tidbits that I wanted to throw in there too, like maybe some short novellas, just to kind of give more of the story attention, because there are several compelling elements about the book that are the world that I'm creating that I want to explore, but I don't want to spend as much time as I'm spending on the main book series. Does that make sense? Like, one of the main characters' parents, their coming together is very interesting because of the dynamics of the political realm that they're trying to navigate. One of her parents is a very high-ranking woman in politics, and she comes from a very powerful bloodline, which is very important because part of the appeal of powerful bloodlines is what can be passed down generationally. Her other parent comes from essentially what accounts to what essentially what accumulates accounts to, oh my gosh, what is the word that I'm looking for here? I am having an absolute time of it. I don't remember. I don't remember the word. But just assume that it all... Oh my god. This is going to drive me nuts. Why can't I never think of the word for the thing that I want to say? This is why I have chat. Chat, help! It all comes down to... This is so frustrating. I hate having this problem. I don't know why I have this problem, but I do. Anyway, her father is essentially what is this in-story equivalent of being mixed race. So he's dirty, according to the other nobles of this civilization. And it's frowned upon. Resolves isn't the word, but essentially it's frowned upon because in any sort of copulation with him, it would result in a dilution of the bloodline. And there is some in-world basis for why that's important, because each of the different races comes directly or is descended directly from essentially a deity. So any deviation from that degrades the purity of the bloodline, which is not what they would want, because any degradation, any dilution to them means less power for them. Because it is canon in the book series that the further away that you are from the purity of the bloodline, the less, for instance, if you're part of the magic user's bloodline, the less ability you have to use magic, or the less powerful your magic will be. The less in tune with magic you become, and so the less capable you are to use it. And this woman, she comes from a very, 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 very powerful bloodline because of her family circumstances in the first book series, which tells the story of why they are so goddamn powerful. The means of destruction. So like Harry Potter, except in Harry Potter, that has nothing to do with anything. Sure, the people believe that, pure blood wizards are more powerful, but that's not the case. We know that's not the case. Harry was a powerful wizard. Hermione was a powerful wizard. Longbottom came from a very powerful wizarding family, I believe, but he was not all that powerful initially, etc., etc., etc. I'm even pretty sure that the Slytherins, save for Voldemort, Tom Riddle, were not as powerful as they could have. I mean, it's not like they actually cultivated that skill on any meaningful level. So yes and no, because very much the further you are from that aspect, the less likely you are to be able to use your innate abilities to their fullest capacity, or the fullest capacity that they can be used. And it's not because you have a lack of skill or lack of knowledge, simply just because there is a lack of ingrained capabilities. And the reason why I chose to make it such an important feature in the story is because I wanted to explore the ugliness of that side of things, of harboring too much of a desire for power, so much so that you become this ugly, obsessed person with manifesting a beneficial relationship in an advantageous match, and the repercussions of what that can bring to not just a couple or a family, but what ramifications that can bring to an entire civilization. And that's, I guess, the precipice of where the central conflict lies, is, especially in the main books, who's hooked up with who has a lot of bearing on which way the story goes. Daniel Fleming asks, do you outline your writing or just make it up as you go? Right now, I am, so I outline the plot points that I want to bring up, that are important. So the historical moments that are supposed to serve a purpose in the story, that give context and meaning to certain characters and why they do the things that they do. Those important things I have written out on like several pages of paper to try and kind of get it out of my head, because I have a lot of ideas. But if I don't put them down to paper, some of them might be forgotten. And I really like where a lot of them go, because it helps progress the storyline. I think it's very important to outline how you want your story to go before you start writing it, so that you can not fall into that pitfall of, oh, well, how do I resolve this conflict without compromising the characters that I've painstakingly crafted until this point to only be able to do one thing. Like, I feel like that's a big problem in writing, is that writers get so bogged down in the idea of what they want to have happen that they don't actually think out the logical conclusion behind what happens to that idea. Where does this go? How does this transpire? What about this will, or how will this affect the character and how they cope, or how will the character react to this? It's all very important, because you can say that you can say that Bellamy is going to betray all of his friends in service of his newfound religious beliefs till you're blue in the face, but that doesn't track with who he's been as a character up until this point in season 7. And that is a 100 reference for those people in the cheap seats who don't watch what I watch for funsies. Ha! Like, if you have a trajectory that you want to take the story, but you don't have characters that can support that trajectory logically, then your story is flawed, and people will be able to see right through it and tell you, hey, to your face, this is crappy. For instance, this isn't probably the best example that I can come up with, but the Marvel MCU Very well crafted, one would think. Correct? Very well crafted. Oh, so well thought out. We love to see it. Except with this new phase. Except with the fact that, hang on, we have the Eternals now. A group of godlike ethereal sky daddies who are supposed to restore balance to the universe. All of the universes. Except for when Thanos snapped. Explain that one to me, writers. Oh, they were on vacation at that point. Sorry. Hi, Sixty. I did read your thing. I hope your super chat. Streamlabs. I hope your family is doing all right. Let me know if you hear from them. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, it is an hour and 30 minutes since we started. I'm gonna call it here because I want to go to bed early. I want to wake up early after a good night's sleep. Hopefully, fingers crossed. I don't know. I have a struggle sleeping very well at night sometimes. So we're gonna see. But in the meantime, I hope you guys have a good rest of your week. And well, before we go, I will be back here next week, same time, same place, same otter, same face. Hopefully the otter is here. Additionally, I want to thank you guys all for coming out and conversing with me. Because if it was just me, it would be really sad if I was just talking to myself and mentioning El Boyfriendo every once in a while. That would be truly awful. I would be a little bit committed, maybe. We'll see. Additionally, I am working on actually 2 video scripts. I am slogging away at one that's entirely too long. The other one should hopefully, fingers crossed, be done sometime before September 4th. The goal is September 1st, but realistically, it'll probably be out for patrons on the 3rd, and then live for everyone else on the 4th, which is a Saturday. So stay tuned. Other than that, hey, I don't know if I'm scheduled to do side quests for Monday or if it's Friday. I have to double check, but either way, catch side quests on Magog and Morscar's live stream channel, please and thank you. It's a good time. We have a good time over there. Insulting people for fun, for money? Are you kidding me? Yeah. Give me some of that. Other than that, Lord of the Rings series premieres this week, so I will be obsessing over that probably on Sunday. Hopefully. We'll see. In the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, I'll see you next week. Thanks for coming out. Bye now.